Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back to another live here with me, Leah C. Murphy. I'm excited to be here with you because I actually enjoy this. So, when I enjoy being live, I enjoy having really interactive discussions. I also enjoy just outing value to the people who spend time with me. So, when it wasn't working and when it didn't work that couple of times, if you all could have seen the level of absolute fire coming out of my ears the last time when the live wasn't working or the audio wasn't working and all the things were getting on my nerves, you wouldn't even recognize me. So, but we're human, right? We're human. We're all here doing the very best we can. And in a lot of experiences, it's just the level of perseverance that you have that's going to get you to the other side. And I'm not telling that to you, I'm telling it to me. So I appreciate you guys riding with us live today. We have some exciting news to share. We have an announcement. Announcements. We have an announcement. My energy is high today. It's intentional. I got to talk to the people that I love this morning, and I am riding on that energy. So, we wanted to share the announcement. You Are Before the World, the book that we've been talking about a lot, the book that you see over my shoulder here. We're excited to celebrate what we think is a really powerful read and what we think is an amazing tool that many of us are going to need to navigate the waters and weather the times that we're in 2026, whether it's being separated from jobs, whether it's changing relationship partners, whether it is navigating this current administration. There's a lot that's happening. So we want to make sure that you have the tools in order to help support you navigating through these transitions and also just to bolster our energy in support of ourselves. So 10 lucky winners, 10 lucky listeners are going to receive a copy of You Are Before the World, Lessons on Doing Good Without Being Done by our good friend Tara J. Frank. As many of you know, she's a friend in my head, maybe one day a friend in real life, but she was a featured speaker at the Career and Care Summit. We had a great conversation with her when I left the fireside chat. The book is for helpers, it's for leaders, it's for builders, it's for change makers who are learning how to do meaningful work without losing themselves in the process. And as someone who continues to work with people who are navigating all of these professional and personal changes through our executive coaching program, I know that people are in need of this book as a tool. Because I personally want to give Tara a shout out because I've read the book myself. I read the book two times, cover to cover. The first time in preparation for the Career and Care Summit because I wanted to be a responsible adult. I wanted to pre-read the book so that I could ask great questions and make sure the conversation felt right. But then I had to read it again in the context of how would I actually apply this to my own life. So this idea of practical tools and radical permission and deep encouragement that this book provides reminded me personally that I existed before the assignment. And when we think about the title, that each of us were known before the world needed us, and that so much of what we are going to continue to do as we're going to navigate the world as it is today, we don't want to lose ourselves. We won't want to look back years later and feel like we did not anchor to the parts of us that were most important or to the parts of us that we needed to protect. Certainly not in service to a company, a corporation, to capitalism, to all the things that we know are pulling on us. So, how do you enter into the contest to win? Get to it, Leah. So, it's really simple. We tried to make these rules as easy as possible. First thing you have to do is be following Leah C. Murphy. If you're here on LinkedIn, you have to be following Leah C. Murphy on LinkedIn, and you have to be following Leah Murphy _ career gems on Instagram. Then you just have to like the giveaway post. So, wherever you're seeing this now, you have to like the post and then share the post on Instagram to your stories and tag us. Or you can copy the link and then share the link into your group chat if you're seeing this on LinkedIn or you're seeing it on YouTube, because the shares really do matter. And then that's it. So it's not complicated at all. We want to give the copies of the books away. We also just want to make sure that we know who's in community with us. So I'm going to review those rules really quickly. If you want to join the contest to win a free copy of You Are Before the World, and I mean completely free, we are going to cover the shipping here at Career Gems for the Journey, so it costs you nothing. You have to simply be following Leah C. Murphy on LinkedIn. You have to be following Leah Murphy _ career gems on Instagram. You have to like the post that you're seeing right in front of your face now. And then you have to share the post on Instagram to your stories or copy the link if you're seeing this on LinkedIn or YouTube and share it with your group chat. Very, very simple. And tag 3 people that you also want to get a copy of the book. Let's share the love. Let's make it robust. Let's make sure the people in our network also get this opportunity. So that's it. Enter today to win your chance to be one of the receivers of 10 copies of You Are Before the World. We have some left over from the Career and Care Summit, just a few. And rather than delay or figure out another way to come to the summit again, we wanted to give them away to you now because we believe that this message will speak to you. And we are really honored to be able to share this meaningful book with our community, especially now in this season. And I've been thinking a lot more about what it looks like to be in community and to do it intentionally. And this book giveaway has like reminded me of the opportunity that I want to continue to build community with like-minded people. And I want, we've gotten lots of requests and asks like, how do we connect outside of the Career and Care Summit? Can you extend the summit? Can you do all kinds of other things? And I've taken that into advisement. And here's what I've come up with. I have a question, right? I have a question now to pose to you. Would you be down for a book club? So I'm a book it through and through, right? Back in the day, book it rewards, read your book, get your Pizza Hut bucks. If you know, you know. I love reading and I feel like I've gotten away from it as I've gotten older and I've gotten more responsibilities. I've gotten away with it. So I want to know from you, would you be down to read a book or read a part of a book and then come back together in conversation about what we read and also how our own lives can benefit from this particular material, or to like have just great conversations with like-minded people about the book and about what resonated for them? Because I think we could all benefit from having some reevaluation and some thought partners in this season. And now, granted, right, I told you that I'm a book it girly, a Pizza Hut points from way, way back when. So this is an old school, very traditional way to be able to connect. And it would be for anyone who wants to participate. And we're going to keep it easy breezy. I just want to know if you guys are into it. If it's something that you are curious about, something that you would want to pursue. If you're with us live, drop your city in the chat and then let me know, yes, drop book club in the chat if you're interested in that. And the way it would go, we're still working out the details to it, but we would meet on Zoom. It would be once a month, maybe a Sunday afternoon/evening. We could start with a facilitated discussion and I could lead the discussion and then we could just move into conversation and it could be really free flowing and we could make space for anybody who's joining the call to be able to share their perspective, or if you just, want to listen in to a great conversation, we could do that. The truth of the matter is, and I've said this to a lot of my friends in my network, is we're the adults now, right? We are the ones who are responsible for having the cookouts. We're the ones who are responsible for hosting holiday dinners. And the rules to how we build community are up to us. So I think that it's worth a try to build the community. And that's what I'm trying to do. But I want to know, are you into it? I believe deeply there's an opportunity for us to take a step further to raise our collective understanding and to reconnect in ways that maybe served us in the past and we've gotten away from, and just to stay in touch with like-minded individuals who want to be a part of the career and care community or are already and are trying to figure out new ways to be able to connect. So I ask you again, are you down for joining what I'm saying the working name is, the Career and Care Book Club? As someone who loves to read and can definitely escape into other worlds through reading, this would be an amazing opportunity and outlet for me, and I hope it could be amazing for you too. So let me know in the comments. So join the giveaway. You get a free copy of the book, and then you have an opportunity to join a completely free community, because that is what we're here to do, to build things and to create resources for the people who spend their time with us. So I'm also excited, really excited to share with you that the practical AI workshop that I've been talking about that I have been talking about for a long time is live. I couldn't get that out. The AI workshop is live, so head over to gemsforthejourney.org to register for the workshop. You will inevitably, through taking this workshop, upskill in artificial intelligence, and it was intentionally designed to turn down the noise around artificial intelligence and give you tools that really you can use to apply in whatever arena you think it makes sense. We want to make sure that you feel good about navigating these noisy waters as it relates to AI. And when I say noisy waters, I mean your social media feed, your news feed, your traditional news channels, conversations maybe people are having in coffee shops. We want you to feel like you have the tools to turn down the noise. And we did the work to build that for you. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the builders of the actual workshop. But the truth of the matter is, this workshop was built by women for professionals, specifically by women. And I say that because there's a lot of narrative around why women are not participating or leveraging artificial intelligence. And I don't know how much that evidence is true, but I'm telling you that this particular AI workshop was built intentionally by women, and the workshop is going to include live instruction. So, there's a lot of self paced programs that are out there, and I'm not questioning whether or not those are good. But if you're someone who benefits from having an instructor, from having hands on activity based learning, this workshop was really designed for you. So, if you signed up for the newsletter already, you would have gotten a link just to let us know, to let you know that it's time to register to join. I 100% believe that everyone who takes this workshop will be more comfortable in the most common AI tools, which will lead to a new confidence. It'll tap into a learning and a curiosity that I think is necessary for us to be able to navigate the waters of change. And it is a path that I've always used to get out of my comfort zone, to lead with curiosity. And that's the reason why we developed the workshop. And we want to make sure that we offer it to our community first. So head over to gemsforthejourney.org in order to register for that workshop. There are evening hours, there are afternoon hours, there's lots of opportunities for you to take the workshop. And we wanted to make sure that it accommodated your schedule, because we know you are all really busy people who are doing important things. And we want to make sure that we can serve your needs in the way that you need support. So when we think about career and we think about artificial intelligence, there's certain moments in your career that really change the way you see the future. And that can be a promotion, it can be a company acquisition, it could be getting laid off, separating from a company. Sometimes it's landing a dream job or a dream assignment, or sometimes it's being confronted with a hard decision and having to deal with really ethical choices in the workplace. So sometimes that sentence or that hard opportunity, that turning point, can also be during a performance review. And performance reviews are absolutely a trigger for a lot of people, or they're an exciting developmental opportunity time. It depends on your organization, it depends on your manager and how they've been used for you in the past. But I have a quick story. A few weeks ago, my mom called me after her performance review. Hi, Mom. I know you're watching. My mom is absolutely a writer. She is 10 toes down. She watches all the lives. She listens to the podcast. She has been my number one fan my entire life. I never have any reason to doubt her love and unyielding support. So shout out to you, Mom. Thank you. But she called me, and the fact that my mom still works is absolutely a choice for her. She had a wonderful, amazing career and then chose to retire. After she retired, chose to go back to work to continue to grow and use her skills and use her brain. And I don't know why she's not ready to just be my mom full time, but we'll decide. We'll talk about that offline. But after she called me to talk about her performance review, she let me know that her manager had some advice for her coming out of her performance review. Now, I told you guys that she spent decades building a career that anyone would be proud of. She is dependable, incredibly knowledgeable, and she's a person that I go to when I need help solving problems. She's trained employees, adapted to new leadership, adapted to new technology, learned softwares, done all kinds of things, moved from clinical to a technical side. Has a calm demeanor, a peaceful disposition. So when she called me after her performance review, I assumed it would be like every other conversation that we've had over the years, and we'd celebrate her getting a outstanding performance review, and that she would be getting new compensation as a result, right? So I'm like, okay, Mom, let's talk about it. Let's get to the money, right? Let's make sure that I understand what you're making, and we negotiated for the right compensation for your benefit. And figure out how you're going to spend that money, what's exciting and new, and how you want to have new experiences. So instead of that, she hit me. She paused and said, my manager told me I need to improve my AI skills as a part of my development. And that was it. I really, and it never crossed my mind that managers would now incorporate learning AI as a fundamental skill into performance reviews while companies are still figuring out what their AI integration plans and strategies are. But it made sense as soon as she said it. It told me everything I need to know about where the workplace is headed overall. And I think before I go any further, I want to really challenge the idea that has become almost impossible to escape, that everywhere you look, someone is telling you that AI is going to save your career or destroy it. It's not that binary. It doesn't allow any space for middle ground, that kind of thinking. And I think this noise that we're hearing around AI, every headline is bigger than the last. Every social media post promises that everything is changing overnight and tomorrow you're going to wake up and the whole world has changed. It doesn't mean that things are not changing quickly. I just want to make sure that we can turn down some of that noise because every new platform is not going to be revolutionary. And after a while, it becomes less about learning and more about just trying to survive the noise and how to navigate. And I think that's unfortunate because we don't all have the same tools to be able to navigate change or to be able to decipher what information is true and what's not. So, because there has to be a fear that kind of goes along with that, it shuts down our desire or our capability to be curious. When we're afraid, we stop asking questions. Sometimes that means we convince ourselves that everyone else has already figured it out. We quietly decide, maybe even that it's too late to catch up. I'm not technical enough. I'm not the kind of person who's going to be able to learn it. I'm too old. I'm not capable. I don't have the time to be able to do it. And I just want to remind us that technology doesn't work that way. Technology is going to continue to evolve and it's going to do that whether we're comfortable with it or not. So the decision for us has to be, am I able mentally to navigate with a curiosity that really allows me to figure out what's true and what's not and not just accept what I'm being fed? Because the interesting part is we've lived through technology changes before, and there was a time when people believed that computers were going to eliminate office jobs, and then it was email over snail mail, and then it was smartphones and cloud computing. So every major advancement has come with some predictions that work would never be the same. And in many ways, the fact of the matter is, it's true, right? It's true that there was change. It's true that workplaces did have a huge impact, but it's also true that those who are ready and able to adapt were able to figure out how to navigate and what made the most sense for them. Or then once they learned and made a conscious decision to opt out, that was a choice that they could make too. So the people who continue to grow are not going to be the smartest ones in the room. They're not necessarily even going to be the people who are highly technical. They're going to be the ones who stay curious, who are willing to ask questions, who are willing to try and make mistakes and learn the next tool without allowing their fear to define what they're capable of. And I think it's hard to decipher in the world that we live in today the noisiness around AI and the reality that may or may not be sitting in your next performance review. So the reasons why I wanted to make sure that we talked about the workshop, we developed this workshop, is because we've been working on this for a long time in the background. We announced this AI workshop at the Career and Care Summit in March, and I learned a lot in development of this resource in the development of this workshop, and I learned a lot of it from our course developer, Erica Castro Morrison, who's someone I've known for years. Right, Erica and I have known one another from high school. I said right, like you guys know. You don't. Erica and I have known each other for years. Her career has taken turns that most people would never expect. She started in electrical engineering and designing systems on naval submarines, and then she became a licensed esthetician and makeup artist, the complete opposite of where she had started. Then she went back to school, earned both her bachelor's and master's degrees in computer science with a concentration in cybersecurity, worked for the federal government, protecting critical systems, and now helps startups integrate AI into their businesses. So on paper, the story of her career or the journey of her career, that through line doesn't connect at all. But when you listen to her story, there's one thread that ties everything together from chapter to chapter, is that she never stopped learning. She never stopped being curious and adapting to what the career path she needed looked like and to the phases of life that she was going to have to evolve through and be preparing for career pivots. So the realization that really allowed me to ask a different question is, are we able to stay curious and navigate each pivot to turn down the noise that may be blaring our direction and figure out what makes sense for us? So maybe people are going to thrive during the next decade. Maybe those people are the ones who are just learning about artificial intelligence today, but willing to be curious and put the work in to be able to learn the technology. They're the ones who are going to continue to learn tomorrow. And it's different for every person. It's a different conversation for every individual. And Erica and I sat down on the Career Gems for the Journey podcast recently as we were launching the workshop that we're really excited about. And she shared something during our conversation that I really haven't been able to stop thinking about. She said that artificial intelligence isn't always right, it's not going to always be correct. And as obvious as that sounds, maybe to somebody who's listening here, it's something that we rarely hear, especially from folks who are actually experts in the technology. We talk about AI often as though it's all knowing and that it gives every answer automatically and it's better than what a human can produce. And that is just simply not true. AI makes mistakes. It misunderstands context. It even goes as far as to invent information and flat out lie to you. It reflects the quality of the instructions that we give it. And in other words, I would say I'd argue that AI is not replacing human judgment as well as much as it is amplifying the messages of the humans that are designing it. So AI is not replacing human judgment, but it is giving a megaphone to the beliefs, to the systems, to the information and data that it is being fed. AI still is depending on humans to direct its focus on something. So she used this analogy and I really love it. She said to think of AI as an intern. And I'm talking about maybe sophomore year in college intern. So brand new, very green, looking to be taught more than they're going to be able to contribute early on in the relationship. For any of you who have been an intern, who have worked directly with an intern, or maybe you've been a manager of an intern at that level, you understand that they are an empty vessel oftentimes that are looking to be filled up with context, with systems, with software, with culture, with all of the things necessary in order to learn and grow in a job. So if you imagine hiring the brightest, most capable intern, right? Bright in school, has all the right information on paper, but does not have any context or application for what you're doing in your company. They're great. They're enthusiastic. They're fast. They can produce maybe a first draft in a few minutes, right? They come with a new perspective potentially, but you wouldn't share anything that the intern wrote directly to with a client. You wouldn't share anything that the intern wrote as a first draft with your CEO without reviewing it first, without making sure that they understand the context. So if you wouldn't assume every fact that that intern shares with you is correct, you should not do that for artificial intelligence. If you wouldn't be realistically thinking that your intern would understand years of organizational culture or nuance or difficult client relationships or contracts or long-term agreements, if you wouldn't do that with an intern, you can't do that with artificial intelligence. Now, with this intern, if you're doing it right, you would coach them, you would develop them, you would refine their work, you would celebrate when they actually give you something that's worthwhile, but you would be incrementally working to help them improve over time. And hopefully, in the 10 weeks that you're with them, you would be able to see a return on that investment. Or you would say, right now, they're still very green, they're still very much learning and developing. And then maybe in a year or so, or maybe in the future, they will have been able to apply what they learned and come back to me better, more robust, right? If we think about keeping this intern analogy. So aptly, that same perspective should be applied to artificial intelligence. It's an assistant, it's an intern. It can be a collaborator, as a tool, not a replacement for your judgment or your creativity or your wisdom or your human intelligence, human ingenuity, human brilliance. So, one of the biggest misconceptions that I often hear is that artificial intelligence is only for people who work in technology, also. So, somewhere along the line, we've convinced ourselves that if you don't write code or build software or you don't have a deep technical background, that it's not for you. And again, that's simply just not true. The people benefiting from AI today aren't just engineers. They are teachers creating lesson plans. They are project managers summarizing meetings. They are nonprofit leaders who are writing grant proposals. They're sales professionals who are preparing for a client or trying to make sure that they pitch and navigate a great conversation. They may be even administrative assistants who are organizing calendars and drafting emails and communicating out to larger teams. They're entrepreneurs who are wearing 10 different hats and simply need another set of hands or simply need an ideation conversation to be able to help move something over the finish line. So all of them are using artificial intelligence in the way that they need to direct it in order to grow in their career or in their business. So what changes is how you use it. So a marketer is not going to need to use AI for the same reason a financial analyst does, and a healthcare professional isn't asking the same questions as a small business owner. And that's really why I believe one of the most important skills isn't learning a specific AI platform. It's learning how to prompt AI to ask better questions so that you can improve the quality of what you're receiving. Because what you're receiving as a finished product from any AI platform is determined by the quality of what you ask and how you direct the artificial intelligence to work on your behalf. So let me give you just one quick example. Think about how we communicate with people. Think about conversations that we have and we exchange person to person. If someone walked up to you and asked a question, tell me about restaurants, right? We'll use that example. You all may have seen that I am someone who takes food very seriously. At the Career and Care Summit, shout out to Bare Hand Love Cuisine, we only try to have the best quality food experiences. So I'm going to use restaurants as an example because it's something that's near and dear to my heart. If someone says, tell me about restaurants, you wouldn't really know where to begin. If someone asks you that question, you would wonder, are you talking about breakfast? Are we talking about fine dining? Are we talking about Philadelphia? Are we talking about Mexico City? Are we talking about Chicago? Are we talking about rich, flavorful food? Are we talking about light and airy? Are we talking about vegan, right? We start to ask questions. So as we think about these questions, it's so broad. The initial question was so broad that I can't give you an answer that may be worthwhile. I can say some things, but it may not hit the mark in the way that you need to. Conversations using artificial intelligence or prompting when you're using artificial intelligence can work the same way. If your prompt is vague, your results will probably be vague. But when you provide context, suddenly it gets more refined and things start to change. So instead of asking, find me restaurants, you might ask, find me 20 women owned or Black owned restaurants in Chicago that can accommodate 50 guests. And maybe they offer catering, and here's the budget that I have. And I want to make sure that they get consistently high reviews. That's a completely different way to start a conversation. And it means that you've become a better communicator in order to get the outcome that you're looking for. And I think that's one of the hidden gifts of learning artificial intelligence. It really will force us to think more clearly, and it forces us to define what success can actually look like before we start asking questions or while we're still in the conversation. And that allows the technology to help us achieve what success could look like. So, as we're thinking about the lessons that we can take advantage of and the level of curiosity that is going to be necessary, we have to make sure that we are applying artificial intelligence without this lens of fear, but maybe more with the layer of curiosity. So, the real value in artificial intelligence comes through iteration. You ask a question, it responds. You refine the question, you refine your thinking, it refines its response. And then you add more context, it becomes more useful. And you do that over and over again. So that process is called iteration, but the terminology is not new. We've seen iteration or ideation happen inside of organizations for a long time. And you can do that with thought partners, you can do that with people, but you can also do that with other forms of technology. Artificial intelligence has just made it easier to access for us. It's something you have been doing your entire life. Every meaningful conversation that you've had has been iterative, where you're asking questions and you're trying to work through a process. So, your starting point is the starting point. You continue to clarify. It's a skill that we've been using for a long time. And I want us to take those skills and apply them to artificial intelligence so that you can leverage it to benefit yourself, whether it's your business or your career, so that you also can just better understand the technology at a fundamental level. So the technology isn't going to replace your thinking, it's going to respond to your thinking. And one of my favorite practical tips that really came from the discussion with Erica is that, and it's one that's really simple, and I wish more people knew about it. So you'll learn more about it during our workshop. Whenever she finishes writing a prompt, she asks one sentence at the end that says, "Before you answer, ask me 3 or 5 clarifying questions that would help improve your response." And that is a skill that she's learned in prompting. And I love it because it changes the relationship completely. Instead of assuming you've thought through everything, AI begins to push and ask more questions that allow you to think more deeply. And sometimes that best value doesn't come from the answer, it comes from the questions that you didn't even think to ask. It kind of helps you to identify your own blind spots in your thinking. And that's why I push back whenever someone says AI is going to do all the thinking for us. We shouldn't allow it. Untrained AI doesn't know your organization. It doesn't understand your values. It doesn't understand your nuance, not your client relationships, company culture, or experience that have really shaped your judgment over the course of career. The software will produce something, but those human advantages are where the real value proposition is. So the professionals who stand out over the next decade as they grow their careers won't be the ones who simply know how to use AI. They'll be the ones who combine technology, empathy, critical thinking, ethical decision making, creativity, and lived experience. And those skills are not something an algorithm can replicate. So there's more to this conversation, but I'm not going to go into all that now because I want to make sure you take advantage of our workshop. But it comes down to trust and it comes down to security. One of the most questions that I hear most often is, can AI do this? Should I trust it? And that's a much better question, the should I trust it? In fact, I wish more people were asking, should I trust artificial intelligence? It can seem incredibly confident. Have you noticed that, like, you'll put a prompt in and you'll get a response and it'll say, absolutely. It doesn't hesitate. It never says I'm not sure. It doesn't sound uncertain, and it can present in a way that feels polished and authoritative, and even when it's completely wrong, even when it's lying. So that's one of the reasons it's so important to not confuse confidence that's coming out of the AI with accuracy, because they're not the same thing. So in our everyday lives, we have met people who speak with tremendous confidence but are completely buffoons, don't know anything. And we've also met people who are brilliant and extremely capable and have lots of expertise, but they don't feel necessary to announce it. So AI can sound like that first person. And that's why your judgment will matter so much as you're evaluating the future. You will be necessary in order to stop, ask questions, and think critically about what you're reading and what the artificial intelligence is producing. Human discernment becomes more and more valuable, and that's the same thing when it comes to privacy. Every time we use one of the tools, especially one of the free models, we have to remember that that convenience is not necessarily in our best interest to protect our security. So it as critical information, whether it's client information, confidential documents, company information, financial records, medical information, intellectual property, you get it. The list goes on. It deserves our protection. And AI is not becoming just more productive, it's also becoming more broadly and widely available. And we have to think more critically about what we share. And I actually think this is where my background with technology really lines up well. I always believe that innovation and responsibility have to grow together in parallel, especially in the new stages when it is getting a broader reach to broader audiences. And I just don't believe that we should reject new technology because we're afraid of it. I believe that we should embrace it and ask important questions and build a healthy relationship that has some skepticism. Like, I think we move forward with curiosity and caution. Like those two things should exist in the same sentence. So one of the reasons I smile when people tell me they're nervous about learning AI is, believe it or not, a little bit of caution is consistently, it's healthy. It means you're thinking, it means you're considering the implications. The goal is not to eliminate your skepticism. The goal is to pair that skepticism with education and real information that is substantive and evidence-based. Because once you understand how the tools work, the fear can start to fade and something much more powerful takes place. This curiosity aligned with confidence. And confidence doesn't mean you know everything, it means you believe you can learn more. And that's where leadership really shines bright. It's true in every phase of our life. When we're able to operate with curiosity and less with fear, then we have the potential to be able to grow. So I want us to get there. I want us to get there together. And the more we use our trusted resources to build our AI capabilities, the better off we will be in adapting to technology. And we cannot avoid that. It is coming, it is moving in a way that is going to be a fundamental skill and an expectation for years to come. And we want to continue to accumulate more knowledge so we can make good decisions for ourselves, because other people are already using artificial intelligence in order to make decisions for us on our behalf, whether it's banks, whether it's healthcare companies, whether it's corporations. I listened to something earlier today that said that there's a lawsuit coming out of some of the tech companies where artificial intelligence has been used to make critical decisions about layoffs, about staffing cuts. And in using that artificial intelligence, there's bias that has come in, whether it's bias tied to race or gender or ability, it's there. So we know that it's being used, but we also know that it's not being used in a way that is seamless. We also know that companies are still figuring out the right ways to integrate artificial intelligence. So it's not to learn. It's not too late for you to learn. It's not too late for you to get started. It's going to continue to change and to evolve, and your adaptability is what's going to be your saving grace as we navigate the waters, as the artificial intelligence race continues. And that race is being made very noisy by powers that be. And your job is to stay teachable, stay a critical thinker, and to make sure that you navigate with caution as well as curiosity. And I think this won't change, because at the end of the day, your greatest value has never been your ability to complete repetitive tasks that now you can defer to AI. Your greatest value has been your judgment, your empathy, your creativity, your critical thinking, your trust that you build with other humans, problem solving, and your ability to actually connect. Those are the qualities that have always really defined exceptional professionals and the best leader. And I believe that they'll matter even more in this race that we're navigating, in this noisy AI environment. So where do we go from here? If there's one thing that I want you to take from this conversation, if you don't take anything else away, is don't let fear make your decision about your future. Every generation has faced a moment where the workplace has changed, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And every generation has to learn and adapt to new tools, to new expectations, and discover new ways of creating value, or make a different choice and leave the organization, leave the game altogether. The good news is you don't have to become any kind of engineer. You don't have to go back to any school or spend money or decide what that ROI is. You don't need to spend hours every night keeping up with the headline or every product announcement. What you need to do is build a solid foundation. And once you have that solid foundation of the fundamentals, you can then confidently evaluate your tools, you can ask better questions, and you can decide what actually makes sense for you, for your workplace, and for your career, and do that from a place of information. So that's exactly why we created the AI Fundamentals Workshop here at Career Gems for the Journey. We built it for professionals just like you. It was built for you by women, for project managers, whether you're an administrative professional, a nonprofit leader, an entrepreneur, an educator, for people working in HR, finance, operations, sales, healthcare, procurement, and every other profession that's wondering, how do I actually use AI in my day-to-day work? This workshop is for you. Our goal isn't to overwhelm you with technical jargon. It's just to give you the practical skills that you can use to start immediately applying artificial intelligence in a way that makes sense for you. We'll show you how to use large language models, how to write better prompts, how to get more useful responses, how to protect your privacy and your organization's information, and how to use AI responsibly and confidently in the workplace and ethically. Most importantly, you'll have a live instructor walking you through the process, answering your questions, and helping you practice in real time. This isn't some self paced video you'll start and maybe never finish or get confused in the middle of. It's an interactive learning experience designed to help you leave feeling confident instead of confused. If your manager, like my mom, has started talking about you leveraging AI and increasing your skill level, has come up, or if your organization is encouraging employees to build your AI skills, but you haven't known where to begin, or self paced models just don't work for you, and you've been waiting for someone to explain AI in plain English without all the hype, this workshop was designed specifically for you. I truly believe the professionals who will thrive over the next decade won't be the ones who know everything. They'll be the ones who never stop learning, who've been able to stay curious, who've been able to stay agile, and allowed their fear to sit to the side as they make great decisions, as they ask better questions. And instead of pretending that they already have the answers, they're willing to get in and learn. Understanding and using technology doesn't diminish the ability of humans. I think it elevates the importance of human brilliance, and using AI alongside human brilliance is where the real competitive advantage lives. So I want to leave you with one final question. A year from now, when you look back on this moment and this time, and you remember that there was an opportunity, I want you to ask yourself, will I allow myself to be intimidated, or will I allow myself to be curious? And if you do that, this time will then accelerate you in a direction that is in the best interest of your professional career. So I want you to go to gemsforthejourney.org, sign up for our AI fundamentals workshop, and you will have the opportunity to build your AI capability leveraging AI innovators, live instructors, and practical skills that you'll be able to apply in your work and your life. I appreciate you riding with us all the way up until this point. This was a long one, and I wanted to make sure that not only was it long, it was intentional, because I know that there is a lot of fear and there's still a lot of questions. So I appreciate you riding with me till the end. And you can head over to gemsforthejourney.org to answer any questions that you have. You can also hit me up. You can hit me with a DM, ask a direct question, but all the information you need is available on our website. And I'm excited for what the future holds when we set our fear aside and we focus on where our curiosity can take us. And until we get there, please continue to make your journey work for you. I will see you all next week, same time, same place.